T.
Miss 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 T.
Can't wait for you to meet Miss T. She is the T in T.
Welcome back. It's T, and you are watching Sweet Tea Time. And today I'm going to share a little bit with you about building business credit. That's a question that I get from a lot of young entrepreneurs, and credit is very important because it suggests the responsibility and the fiscal responsibility of an organization. And the more of it that you have, the more you can scale and grow. So building it is very, very important. Now, there are some foundational steps that I'm going to suggest you take, or make sure that you retake a look at to make sure they're current before you start this journey of building out your business credit. Because if you don't have these foundational things in place, it's just simply not going to work for you. Now, as an entrepreneur just starting out, I went from doing a side hustle to being a sole prop to being a corporation. To being a national corporation. And when I first started just doing my side hustle, the reason I first started is because, number one, I wanted to help the kids in my community. And number two, I wanted to make money. So I wanted to do those two things, but it didn't occur to me there's like paperwork and steps and a planning that has to happen. And so as the company evolves, there's a number of different things that require my attention, require me to grow and train and educate myself. And one of those ways was in the financial realm of things, which is where credit becomes very, very important. In order for you to have good credit, there's something else I want you to also consider is the reputation, the narrative, if you will, of the company that you're allowing to be released. So let's start with these steps. First things first, if you haven't done this already, think of your company like a baby. One of the first things you do when you have a baby is you give it a name, you get a birth certificate. Well, with your company, it's the same thing. You have to name it. You need a fictitious business name statement, and then it needs a birth certificate. That is your business license. Those two things, just like a baby, your business, which you just birthed, now has a name, now has a certificate, which is your business license. That tells the world that this baby exists in the form of your business. Now, pushing forward, it needs something like a social security number. So depending on the kind of business that you started, like every human being that becomes a citizen of the United States signed a number. That number is how they track you. It's also how they track your credit worthiness, because there are things, financial things, and then behavioral things as it pertains to exchange and corporation and business and barter and trade and renting and leasing and things like that. Those are all connected to that number. Well, your business has the same thing. So you have to get something called an EIN number or a tax ID number. And that depends on the personality of your company, whether it's a sole prop, a LLC, a nonprofit, an S Corp corporation. That numbering system is different for each. And so for me, I went from a sole prop, which is where I had an EIN number, to a nonprofit, and I got a different tax ID number. So having that number now gives financial institutions and business and corporations that you are doing trade with a way to track that kind of activity, positive or negative, as it specifically pertains to your baby, your business. And so that's the second thing that I'm going to recommend you do. Now, listen, you can Google this depending on what state and what country you're in to find out where you need to go. Most often for your fictitious business name statement or your business license, that city or county, and then that number, that special number, just like for us humans, that's a federal number that you need to get. And so you may have to find out what office, what website you need to go to. And then in order for you to get that number, just so you know, you will have to have your paperwork in order, which is, your fictitious business name, your business license, and a couple of other things. So you want to know what the requirements are in your region to have those things. But again, that's step two. Number three, you want to get a bank account. Now that you have your fictitious business name, your business license, and all that foundational stuff done, you want to open a bank account that's specifically for your business. Now, here's another mistake that I've seen people make, especially young entrepreneurs, is they dump everything into one account. And out of this account is becoming their business expenses, but also their personal expenses. You don't want to do that. This baby needs its own place to stockpile its revenue, because that's how you're going to build the trackability system that determines whether or not you're credit worthy. So now you want to go to the bank and set up your own bank account. Now, I work directly with banking institutions that support small businesses, largely because they can pay attention differently to your flow of finances. And again, when I was first starting, it was really difficult. And shortly after I started my company, we hit a recession. So I had moments where my account would go overdrawn. I had moments where, things got really, really weird and it was really challenging and it was tough. But because I was banking with an institution that understood small business and small business during difficult time, I had bankers that would call me, "Hey T, just want to let you know this thing is happening," or "Hey T, we have a new deal that just came out. Hey T, the CDs are, performing well and you may want to open a savings account." So I had a small banking institution, but because they were small and I was small, it made for the kind of relationship partnership where they would reach out to me and help me with things that were beneficial, and they would waive fees and do all sorts of amazing things. So you want to make sure that you choose the right banking institution for where you're at. However, when I grew and my company grew and I became a multi-million dollar company, I needed a different banking institution, one that can offer me the federal protection that I needed should something really squirrely happen, which has happened a couple of times financially. And I also needed a banking institution that understood the importance of building corporate credit. And so they put things in place that would help me shape the kind of financial flow in my company that would show me credit worthy. So again, choosing the right banking institution is very important for your business credit. Okay, so the next thing you want to consider is a line of credit. At some point, your baby will grow up to the place where you can apply for a line of credit. Now, some people do business loans. I personally didn't do those, but I did get a business credit card. And some of the factors that I considered in choosing the business credit card or the company credit card that I applied for was I like my points. So if I'm making charges for company expenses, I get points for travel, point for, accommodations, and I'm able to help people, go places and visit places using my points. And so it's very important to me that I not only had a credit card with a line of monies that I could use for, my company expenses. I wanted a card that would actually work for me too. So I'm working with you. I want you to work with me too. And so when I was choosing a credit card, I choose something that I would get points for, that I can help do other things within the company, like travel. So picking a company credit card or a loan or leasing space was another thing that I did, but I leased space from someone that did the reporting to the bureaus. And so doing something that shows that you can, rent something or charge something, but then pay it off. So picking the right sort of situation for your company in the right season that your company in is going to be very, very important, especially as it comes to tracking your credit worthiness. And so I did those two things at the same time. Now, when I got the credit card, one thing that, and I have a mentor of mine who really coached me through this. And when I got the company credit cards, one thing that I practiced was I make the charge, but before the end of the month, I made sure, or the close of the statement, I made sure that the full balance was paid in full. And I never charged anything more than I could pay in full. Now, this is where it gets a little sticky for some people. You can overcharge or you can charge so much and then you don't have the capacity to pay it off. That will affect your credit worthiness. That'll affect the business, your business credit reputation. So what you want to set in place is charge, pay in full, and make a practice of that, not just 1 month, not just 2 months, not just 3 months, just period. Let that be the lifestyle of your financial part of your organization. Because as you do that, what you're building is a track record of, I can charge and pay in full. When they see that you're able to do this thing over and over and over again, it only makes you stronger as a business who can handle, their monies and become worthy of being lent more, or, lent at a higher level. So again, you want to make sure as you charge on your card, if that's the direction you're going in, you pay in full. You want to make sure if you're leasing or renting something, you pay in full, like pay in full. And you also want to consider when you're making big purchases, especially for the company. I intentionally bought large things, equipment, technology, but I bought it from institutions that I knew would report it. They would offer me hey, you can pay this off in whatever months. Well, I would take that deal, take 2 or 3 steps in that direction, and then just pay it in full. So that includes things like company cars, technology from corporations, getting things on credit. That also includes leases and rents for facilities that you occupy, showing anything that shows you with a positive track record of borrowing and paying and borrowing and paying, particularly borrowing and then paying in full. It only solidifies the fact that you are credit worthy. Your business is credit worthy. The next thing that you want to consider when building business credit is having a dope accountant. I can't even express or emphasize the importance of that, because at the end of the year and even throughout the year, they're the ones that are helping you to track your currency flow in the company. And one of the things that will make you credit worthy is healthy fiscal practices and a system that's tracking and reporting it. So whether it's an accountant, a CPA, a controller, or comptroller, depending how large your organization is, you want somebody who's rock solid that will help you track and report your expenditures, filing your taxes, filing your 990s if you're a nonprofit, because it's the data that populates there on those forms and reports that becomes public knowledge for any financial institution, any lender, or anybody that's looking up you, the business, using your EIN or your tax ID number to determine whether or not this company is credit worthy. So you want to make sure you have an accountant or bookkeeper or somebody to work with you, unless you have skill in that area. I had some skill, but not the skill I needed for a statewide or a national organization. So I had to get help and multiple individuals to help me with that. And then the last thing I want to drop on you is, now we live in a time where, companies are really picky about who they lend to, who they rent to, even who they donate to. I have a nonprofit. And so what they're doing is they're doing their own investigation or about the reputation of the brand. So you want to be very, very aware of what you're posting on social media. And that's all the platforms, videos you're putting out, even things that you're endorsing, content you're showing up in that may not be your own, but somebody else's. Companies are getting really smart in how they're investigating and researching the people to determine if their reputation makes them credit worthy. And if not, you may not get it just because of what you're putting out there in the world by way of content. And that's a new-ish thing, especially compliments of, the pandemic. People just kind of got really super intentional and smartened away that they just didn't practice before. They smartened up in realizing that, okay, we're extending this person our money, but we can't make our bank look bad because they're looking bad. So just know that that's now a thing. And so if you're one of those people that don't pay, close attention to what's going up on your platforms, and you're looking to build business credit, remember your reputation makes you credit worthy, makes your company credit worthy. So now it's not just you, it's you and your employees. And what is it that you're doing with your time, your talent, and your social media platforms? So this is not something that happens overnight, really. This is something that happens over time. So you want to be patient with the process and be consistent in the process. It sounds simple, but it really is a track that you want to get on. This is like a cross-country run. This is not a sprint. So it's not building like that doesn't happen no matter what someone, I know these companies will call and say, oh, we can do this if you give us 10,000. Don't give them your money. Just follow these steps and know that it's going to take time. Just like Your reputation was built over time, just like your skills, your talents, and abilities was built over time. You, as a business that's credit worthy, will be built over time if you practice these steps. So I hope this helps. I hope you enjoy. These are some of the very simple things that I did to get started to build my business credit. And building my business credit has helped to scale my company in ways that I just didn't know I could until I kind of got into the corporate building aspects of things and learned these sorts of things. So give yourself grace, be patient as you grow and build in the process, and just know that as you keep hitting these higher levels as far as credibility as a business, then you'll hit levels where you'll have to make different decisions, where the bigger incomes will flow. And listen, once I became credit worthy at one level, what happens with these banking institutions is they will give you more credit because you've shown your credit worthiness. So I never apply for increases or anything like that. It's automatically given to me because they're constantly watching you. And so just know that you can totally do this and give yourself the time, activate the plan, and then have a plan for what you need this extra credit for. You may come to a place like I did where you need to buy buildings, where you need to buy vehicles, where you need to, hire staff. And so you need an extra line of revenue. As you're waiting for other resources to come in, you never know what you're going to need this for. But if you're in business and you're looking to scale and grow, this is something that you will need to know and be very, very strong in. So again, hope this helps. I look forward to seeing you again next time. Like, share, subscribe, comment if this is helping you, or if you're one of those incredible people that have some strong acumen in this area and you want to share some of your steps, totally open to it. Don't pretend like I'm not pretending like I'm an expert over here, all the stuff, knowing all the stuff all by myself. I always want to learn something new. And just for the record, I'm an expert in a lot of things, but in the money things, I'm always seeking to grow. So share in the comments, doggone it. Okay, thank you for tuning into Sweet Tea Time. Always here to help, to contribute to the growth, the happiness, the success of your dreams, your lifestyle, your you, and your family. So I hope you'll tune in again. Until then, go somewhere and win, baby. Bye.